Hi, I'm Hanna Kekkonen. I'm a female founder. I'm working on an idea pillar. Pillar is transforming business-to-business customer experience, enabling digital customer. Fun fact about me is that I'm actually a musician. I have been practicing a lot the violin. I play in Neustadt Symphony Orchestra. And the musician's business model is to share and give joy to others. What I'm expecting from this program, I expect to practice a lot, different things, building digital products, and I really look forward to work together with the other female founders, two of them being Finns like me. Pillar is about actually twisting a little bit the traditional customer service setup. Yeah, Pillar is the name of the brave heroine in Hemingway's novel, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Maybe Pillar can be also a support pillar in your company.
Hi there, I'm Karla Schönicke and I'm currently living in Berlin, but I've also lived in Latvia, Finland and Spain before, and even for 2 months in Italy where I volunteered on a donkey farm. And believe me, having trained donkeys has taught me one thing. You can basically throw anything at me, I will handle it. Becoming an entrepreneur was never really anything that I'd consciously decided. Somehow I knew I had it in me. Whenever I had an idea that I believed in, I just went for it and didn't ask for permission. What really excites me about being a tech entrepreneur is that you have this huge possibility to transform the world with a software product, to create a product, software, technology that really benefits people, that frees them from boring, repetitive tasks and lets them focus on being creative, on being human. So currently I'm working on an idea about synthetic data, and one possible path would be to create bias-free data sets to train AI models, and the other path would be to create huge testing data sets for big complex software systems so we would know how they react and also whether edge cases would bring them down in production. At the end of the Female Founders Program, I would like to have found product market fit, meaning I have a clear idea about the product, I understand the customers, and also the value hypothesis. So I'm looking forward to getting a lot of feedback and working together with the other talented women, and I'm really excited to be there.
Hi everybody, my name is Miia Khan. I'm the CEO and the founder of Eventual. And Eventual is a crowdfunding platform for event generation. The idea for the company came from a very personal need. We wanted to be able to experience more inspiring and interesting content when we go out. And at the same time, we wanted to support the culture and event scene by introducing a new innovation for the industry. And I think I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and I've been lucky to have an opportunity to work as an entrepreneur in the fastest growing consultancy in the Nordics, where I worked for 13 years as a partner and a director. I enjoyed every moment of it, and now it's time to create something new, a new journey. And I'm super excited to be on board with the Accelerator program, and looking forward to meet like-minded people and figure out the next steps in this new journey of ours. Fun fact about myself is that I've been a TV presenter in the past. There are other facts that you will find out when we get to meet. And see you guys soon. Bye.
Hi, my name is Honkalinna. I live in Helsinki, Finland, and my background is strongly in the corporate life. I did, however, already think of my first startup when I used to work in pizza taxi as a pizza deliverer. I was thinking of establishing a food delivery company that would have delivered food from different restaurants. The world didn't seem to be ready at that stage, and so I went to corporate life for quite a few years. But for 2 years ago, I put up my first startup. Now I'm more into looking into the opportunities of digitalization, gamification, AI, machine reading, and so on, to look at different opportunities in very traditional areas of business like insurance. I'm very happy to be in the Female Founders Group. I'm very happy to get to work with the other talented women. And fun fact about myself, I have 4 kids, so I'm very used to multitasking at the same time with different priorities. Happy to be here, happy to get to know you, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Hi, I'm Hanna Kekkonen. I'm a female founder. I'm working on an idea pillar. Pillar is transforming business-to-business customer experience, enabling digital customer convenience. Fun fact about me is that I'm actually a musician. I have been practicing a lot the violin. I play in Neustadt Symphony Orchestra. And the musician's business model is to share and give joy to others. What I'm expecting from this program, I expect to practice a lot, different things, building digital products, and I really look forward to work together with the other female founders, 2 of them being Finns like me. Pillar is about actually twisting a little bit the traditional customer service setup. Yeah, Pillar is the name of the brave heroine in Hemingway's novel, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Maybe Pillar can be also a support pillar in your company.
Hi there, I'm Karla Schönicke and I'm currently living in Berlin, but I've also lived in Latvia, Finland and Spain before, and even for 2 months in Italy where I volunteered on a donkey farm. And believe me, having trained donkeys has taught me one thing. You can basically throw anything at me, I will handle it. Becoming an entrepreneur was never really anything that I'd consciously decided. Somehow I knew I had it in me. Whenever I had an idea that I believed in, I just went for it and didn't ask for permission. What really excites me about being a tech entrepreneur is that you have this huge possibility to transform the world with a software product, to create a product, software, technology that really benefits people, that frees them from boring, repetitive tasks and lets them focus on being creative, on being human. So currently I'm working on an idea about synthetic data, and one possible path would be to create bias-free data sets to train AI models, and the other path would be to create huge testing data sets for big complex software systems so we would know how they react and also whether edge cases would bring them down in production. At the end of the Female Founders Program, I would like to have found product market fit, meaning I have a clear idea about the product, I understand the customers, and also the value hypothesis. So I'm looking forward to getting a lot of feedback and working together with the other talented women, and I'm really excited to be there.
Hi everybody, my name is Miia Khan. I'm the CEO and the founder of Eventual. And Eventual is a crowdfunding platform for event generation. The idea for the company came from a very personal need. We wanted to be able to experience more inspiring and interesting content when we go out. And at the same time, we wanted to support the culture and event scene by introducing a new innovation for the industry. And I think I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and I've been lucky to have an opportunity to work as an entrepreneur in the fastest growing consultancy in the Nordics, where I worked for 13 years as a partner and a director. I enjoyed every moment of it, and now it's time to create something new, a new journey. And I'm super excited to be on board with the Accelerator program, and looking forward to meet like-minded people and figure out the next steps in this new journey of ours. Fun fact about myself is that I've been a TV presenter in the past. There are other facts that you will find out when we get to meet. And see you guys soon. Bye.
So, good afternoon, everybody. We are back with our live streamings. I'm your host. My name is Ram Shoham, founder and CEO of Accelerator Frankfurt. And together with Miia Khan, my co-founder, we're going to run Wave8. It's a special wave we have today, just female entrepreneurs. And I want to welcome all the female entrepreneurs. Let's wave and say hi. Great having you here. I will let you shortly introduce yourselves. But for the viewers that are just tuning in, basically a short background about myself, about Accelerator Frankfurt, who we are. So yes, we are running now Wave8. We've had 7 programs behind us. My background, I've been in the finance industry for more than 20 years. And 10 years ago, I basically started working more with entrepreneurs. I had the luck to actually help a couple of founders from Israel, which is where I'm originally from, to help them with their business model and make them investable, make them attractive for investors. Long story short, we worked on it for a couple of months as a side job. This was back in 2009, and got them an investment. But the better part is also got them some clients, since they were in the finance sector. And coming with a finance background, I worked in a bank. I could introduce them to the relevant people. This is what Accelerator Frankfurt does until today. We're not your typical accelerator. We are a go-to-market program, and our goal is to get the companies invested and help them with their business development. Miia and I, we're both entrepreneurs and we're both investors. This is why I would say the accelerator is quite successful. But before I get into the statistics of our success, I'd like to give the floor to Miia. She will tell us a little bit about her background. Go ahead.
Yes, so I'm so excited that this actually came about, because for years and years and years I've been hearing people talking about, why are there so little female founders out there? And you have all these guys sitting on panels discussing, what could we do, but nobody does anything. So I told Ram that this cannot be. I mean, seriously, we had like almost 40 startups, and one of them had a female founder. So then there came the idea that we need to make a program and dedicate it to female founders, because I think sometimes the idea, it's difficult to start, because your surrounding is not like that. You don't have other entrepreneurs that you could relate to, or you would say, yeah, go for it. They're like, oh, are you crazy? You have a good job, don't leave it, And as we say, so the idea with the female founders was that you could start with an idea. You could still, be doing the normal stuff, what you ever do, if you wanted. But of course, some of our female founders have already started their company. But that was the idea, to make it easy, to provide some help, to provide peers that they could talk with and, to discuss with, and, to go about their idea and to make it a real business. So some words about myself. So I'm obviously a Finn. I was born in Sweden. I am an engineer, and then became an MBA and moved more to commercial roles, and got bitten by psychology bug, you could say it. So 70 years of corporate life, and then I met Ram in China, in Shanghai, and we realized that we have similar values, similar things that we want to do, and so we moved towards working with startups, and that's been keeping me busy for the last 10 years. And yeah, that's it.
So Maria's last master degree, and I say last because she has 3 master's degrees, has been in organizational psychology from INSEAD. And in INSEAD, they teach you about the blue ocean strategy. And we started working with startups, specifically in the financial sector. And we're looking for a hotspot where we could have an untapped market, basically a blue ocean. And that has brought us to Frankfurt about 7 years ago. Frankfurt is a city with about 800 banks, 400 banks, maybe nowadays a bit less. But a lot of the banks here, about half of them have decision-making power in the city. 7 years ago, there was hardly an ecosystem. Actually, there was no ecosystem in Frankfurt. There were no startups, there were no accelerators. And that's where the idea came about to set up Accelerator Frankfurt. We are the first accelerator in the city. The banks were looking for digitization, for innovation. Their city has a lot of money. It's a financial capital. Startups need money always. So it all came together and worked very well. And we started basically using our network to find the best entrepreneurs, bring them to the city, and connect them with the banks. As Maria said, we've worked with 40 companies so far. We have a success rate of about 85%, which 85% of them do get investments. About 55% of them get clients, which mean banking clients in Germany, financial institutions. Considering accelerator track records, if you look at the statistics, this is one of the top, and Accelerator Frankfurt has been voted as one of the top 25 innovation labs worldwide. But we are now focusing on the female founders. We wanted to give this platform because COVID hit, and we suddenly were running things online. Facilitates it for us more. We have more time available, and Maria always wanted to promote the female founders, and we can do this now because everything has moved online. So the Female Founders Program was born, and the ladies that you will meet in here and for the next 3 months of the program, they're not all specifically into fintech. We opened the program to any kind of industry, as long as they're entrepreneurs and as long as they have great dreams. Both Maria and I are keen golfers, and there's a famous quote by one golfing psychologist, Bob Rotella, who said, "A person with great dreams can achieve great things, and a person with small dreams confines himself, herself, to a life of frustration." And this is how he selects his clients, basically. He looks at the people who really dream big. And we've interviewed many women. I don't know the number, so I don't want to just throw a number, but we've had a lot of interviews in the past few months. And we found that you 4 ladies have a similar mindset. Most importantly, you are open to feedback. An entrepreneur that cannot take feedback will probably fail. And that's very, very important for us, that you want to learn, you're eager to learn. That doesn't mean you cannot be stubborn. You should be stubborn. And then you dream big. And it was really, gave me goosebumps to see your reactions when you got accepted to the program. And it just ticked the box that we made the right choice. And this is one of the reasons that Accelerator Frankfurt has a good track record. Maria and I are able to attract passionate people and help them grow. And this is our mission. We want to attract passionate people and help them grow. So I spoke quite a bit. I want to give the floor to the entrepreneurs here. Maybe we just start with a short intro, your name and where you are, and a little bit about the how you got to the selection process. I don't want you yet to pitch your startups. We will do that in a little bit. But we can start from my screen. We'll start through Hanna, and then we'll go with Karla, Anu, and last but not least, Miia. So Hanna, please, where are you sitting now? It looks like you're in a Finnish sauna.
Yes, I'm in the home office, and due to COVID, I need to stay home. So the only quiet place is actually the sauna. So the sauna is now my second temporary office. Yes, so my name is Hanna Kekkonen. I'm from Finland. My first 10 years of my work life, I was in Denmark, in a culture that has the most flat hierarchy in the world. And from this culture, I moved to Germany. So I was always working for a big corporate. And during my whole career, I have been always having ideas. And I'm also stubborn. So I go for it and I take risks. So I also moved to Germany quite spontaneously and took my complete family with me here. So now I'm at the point that I'm looking to skill myself up. So I'm getting a little bit bored and I have great new ideas. I want to save the world. I have big dreams. So I want to look into circular economy, and I'm really, really happy to be here and to learn.
Thank you, Hanna, and welcome to the group. Karla, please.
Hi, yeah, I'm Karla. I'm sitting in Berlin in my living room. It's also more of an improvised office. And how I got to know the startup program was actually, I was following Maria already for some longer time because I love to follow other ambitious women that have already made it or are 2-3 steps ahead. And it was just some evening that I came across her LinkedIn post, like, here's a female founders program and just come with an idea. And so, okay, I'm just gonna sign up and put my idea in there. And the week before I had talked about that exact idea with another female CTO friend of mine. And she just said, why don't you try it out? So it kind of all came together. And then 3 days later, I get an email that you wanna have a call with me. And somehow that now I'm here. So it's, yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I wanna drive this idea forward, and I'm looking really forward to working with these other 3 women together and you to see what's happening to our ideas.
Awesome, great. And you're in Berlin, right? At the moment. Okay. So Hanna and Karla are actually in Germany. It is a coincidence actually that we have 3 Finns and a German. We've had even applications from South Korea, but again, we just look for diversity. We look and we find that you all will bring something to the table that the other ones will need. And even before we went live, I saw that there were some good interactions. Anu, please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm sitting at my home basement in the middle of a bit of a renovation, so I'm hoping this looks at least fairly clean. My background, I have been doing corporate life about, 15 plus years. I used to run legal and compliance departments for global insurance giants like AXA, Genworth Financial. And so it's been very, and even before that, I was into finance companies. So it's been very much the typical corporate life that I was leading. Having said that, though, I was working for a pizza taxi in Helsinki, the first one who delivered pizzas back in the 90s, and I was delivering pizzas for about 2-3 years. And I had my first idea that wouldn't it be cool that I wouldn't just be delivering pizzas, but I could deliver anything that the restaurants are making in Helsinki. And I was actually doing that, some kind of business development there. And unfortunately, the world just wasn't ready for a Wolt at that time. So I'm kind of happy to see that the idea took form a couple of years later, actually recently, and with a very, very strong proposition. Coming back to where I'm now, I have been doing a couple of things since 2 years ago when I left the corporate life. I got a bit bored there. I wanted to try out a few things. I put up my first startup a couple of years back. And now I'm looking into a new opportunity as well to take advantage of my long insurance and legal background. Very happy to be here, very happy to be with everybody. And to the German link, I used to live 3 years in Germany towards the end of the 90s, so I have even that in my resume.
Awesome, that sounds amazing. Okay, and Miia, go ahead.
Hi all, I'm super excited to be here. We are now in my office that has been working for this purpose, our kitchen, since March 12th when the COVID hit, and ever since I have been working here on this desk. So I have built my career in marketing communications. So I have created success for especially B2C brands my entire career. I worked in the fastest growing and the biggest agency here in the Nordics called Milton as a director and a partner before I started to think about other options, and then came up with this business plan and had been contemplating on it for a while, and then decided to take this journey. And how I heard about this accelerator program, I had a chat with a friend of mine and told about my new plans. And she said that she just recently saw this link on LinkedIn that I should check out. And then was it maybe 24 hours later, I had a meeting with Ram and Maria here in Helsinki. And I guess oftentimes when you just decide something, things start rolling forward. So I had this kind of an experience with you guys.
Wow, great, great. Thank you, Miia. Great to hear from all of you, and hopefully it is the beginning of an exciting journey, a roller coaster. It will be. There's going to be ups and downs way beyond this accelerator program. Believe me. It's good that we're doing it live because we can all mess up now and it's live, yes, but this also gives people an insight to getting to know us better and not just through a recording session or something like that. It's quite difficult to raise money nowadays, investments, especially since you cannot travel and you cannot meet people face to face. So I think this gives some sort of a platform to get the real person behind the camera. So for the viewers, if you want to follow the ladies, we're going to be live streaming on a weekly basis every Wednesday from 1 p.m. CET for 2 hours, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. CET. You'll have a chance to get to hear the ladies speaking to investors, speaking to potential customers, getting grilled. I mean, really answering the hard questions on the spot. It's very important. Some of you come with a corporate background, quite a recent corporate background. We share that in common. Maria and I have had long corporate backgrounds as well. And the step from corporate life to entrepreneurship is massive. It's very, very different. So just be prepared for it. And it's intense. Things are done a bit differently. You don't always have a secretary or a nice assistant, so you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. I want to thank our strategic partners. Accelerator Frankfurt could not do it without our strategic partners who help the content of the program and also the entrepreneurs themselves. We work with 4 fabulous partners since the beginning, basically. We have Die Firma, which is a digital marketing communication strategy firm from Wiesbaden, helping really sharpen the whole communication strategy. You cannot sell if you can't communicate what you're selling, for example. We're partners with A2B Accelerator in Israel, providing us a large network of the Israeli ecosystem. Plus, they helped us build this program from day one. Then you're all going to meet the gentlemen from Deep Work Studio. They're actually a company based in Berlin. They help with design sprints and remote working tools. And last but not least, we all need lawyers, legal firm, legal advice, and we work with Taylor Wessing in Frankfurt, which is basically a global company with presence in all continents worldwide. The program is sponsored by MindClip Behavior. We need to pay the running cost of the program. We have our production guy, Tim Megert. If you like the production, you want to do something like this, feel free to contact me. I can connect you with Tim. But back to the sponsor, MindClip Behavior is a company that is doing helping teams to get more efficiency out of their people, basically. And we've used MindClip also for the teams at the accelerator to make sure the communication is much smoother. You will hear more about MindClip also throughout the program and throughout the coming months. We will have a demo day on December 16th. The ladies hopefully will have their pitch decks ready by then, have practiced their pitches, and we will run a live stream session, invite some investors, and we will do a demo day on December 16th, same time as usual, 1 p.m. CET Frankfurt time. So regarding the program itself, we're going to start basically with lean canvas. We always like to start with that. That will help the ladies put together more their storyline, get a bit more aligned, and get focused. It's very important to divide the different areas that you got to think about when building a company. Maria will run this workshop today during this session, and then you will have a week basically to start working on your canvases. This will be followed immediately by next week with your first investor meeting, where you will meet one of the most brilliant entrepreneurs I know, very successful guy from Tel Aviv, Nimrod Kramer. He will listen to you present these business canvases and also give you feedback on them. The idea is not to flood you with investors yet, because you need to get feedback and get working towards the perfect business model at the end of the day. But you will be meeting more investors throughout the program, plus a couple of VCs that will be here. We have Tiburon from Munich, and we have Early Bird, which is one of the largest VCs in Berlin, that will be with us. We'll also hear from one of our successful entrepreneurs from Wave8, Smart Mile, Aku Haponen. I'm mentioning the name correctly. He will talk a little bit about his transition more from corporate consulting life to entrepreneurship. So the program goes week by week. Every Wednesday, It's not a full-time program. There'll be probably, I hope you do much more outside the program itself, but hopefully we get progress with every week. Are there any questions? Okay, I think I'm quite clear. When you talk to mentors, investors, you know, make people interested. Investors don't always know exactly what you do. Keep it simple. I learned from one of our mentors, Karan Degani, to the 5-year-old rule. He has a 5-year-old daughter, and he tries to put in one sentence what he does so that his 5-year-old daughter understands it. So that's very important, and also mentor and investor management is an important thing. Why I say mentor/investor is because our mentors are investors. We're all investors. Anybody you will be speaking to is a potential investor. But they're also mentoring you, and it does happen where the startup entrepreneur can get a bit lazy. So what I'm trying to say is, remember, these people don't work for you. You need to be following up with them. You need to do the work for them. You need to facilitate. But the more you do that properly, the better you will get feedback and get the mentors willing to give their time to you. So that's very important, this mentor management. For the viewers on YouTube or Twitch, feel free to drop us questions on the live chat, or send us an email. You can send me an email, ram@acceleratorfrankfurt.com, or through LinkedIn. All the LinkedIn links are basically on our YouTube channel. You can reach all the ladies there directly. But we will try to get back to you with any questions, or if you wish to be connected to one of the ladies, we'll definitely connect you. Before we go further, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my life story, in a way, what shaped me, and perhaps inspire some of the viewers towards entrepreneurship. But the biggest life lessons I got. I'm an avid surfer. The first time I got a wave, I was 6 years old. My cousin, who was Israeli champion, took me to the beach and pushed me on a wave when I was 6. And basically, I got hooked forever. Basically, I just loved it so much that my dream was to basically become a professional surfer. And I put a lot of hard work to it, meaning before school, going in the coldest, darkest winter days into the sea, surfing. I would arrive to school wet in my wetsuit, change quickly and go to class. After school again, and I have to admit, occasionally skip the classes. The principal would call my mom asking, "Where is Ram?" So surfing is my life still. But long story short, I was trying to make it to the Professional Surfing Association, the European Professional Surfing Association. And when I was surfing, that year, I basically took a year off and started competing. I was trying to qualify for this league, and you needed to collect points throughout the year. And what I learned about surfing is a few things. First of all, I learned that I love being surrounded by passionate people. And this is what I do every day today. I surround myself by passionate people, and this is why we're here today. So that's the first lesson the surfing gave me, is because surfers and entrepreneurs are passionate. That's one thing in common. Secondly is failing fast. With surfing, you do crash a lot. You crash most of the times. You take risks. There's big waves, but you need to get feedback from it. What you did wrong, and you need to keep paddling. You need to get on the board, paddle again, and get the next wave and get the next wave. And many people have asked me, why do I do this? You know, why do I risk my life? And yes, I used to risk my life surfing big waves in shallow waters, and nearly drowned twice in my life. And I tell them that once in a while, this perfect wave does come along. And the feeling is basically inexplicable. You want to experience it again and again. And entrepreneurs have that as well. I've worked with entrepreneurs that have been through this roller coaster, but they kept getting back on the board, kept paddling, and eventually they did catch their perfect wave and made an exit. And guess what they did? They didn't just retire with the money and lived on a beach. No, they set up a new company and wanted to experience it all over again. So back to qualifying for the Professional Surfing Association, I was surfing throughout Europe for a full year, but I wasn't winning competitions. But I was being fairly consistent, so collecting my points. And it came to the last competition of the year. My parents were pressuring me massively to go to university and not be a beach bum for the rest of my life. So I promised my mom that this is the last competition, the season is over, and I'm coming to study. And I got into the competition needing about 9,000 points to qualify for the European Professional Surfing Association. And winning the competition would get me 10,000 points. So would qualify me. I never won a competition. And coming second place would get me 8,000 points. So I basically promised my mom I'm coming home. And I never performed that well throughout the year, I have to say that. But I got into the competition and started advancing through the heats and reached the quarterfinal and made it to the semifinal. And basically, I got to the final at the end of the day. And I really went, the whole day was like a dream, like a small, slow motion thing, which I didn't put too much effort into it. And this also taught me maybe not to try too hard to focus and not fall and this. I was just surfing and I was having fun out there. And basically the final started and I was against another French surfer. And it's a 30-minute heat. You get scored on the top 2 waves. Well, at the time it's the top 3 waves. Nowadays it's the top 2 waves. And basically, I was doing okay, but I was not leading. And the speaker in the beach, in the speakers, they announced 5 minutes left, 5 minutes left. And I stopped paddling. I said, never stop paddling, but I stopped paddling because I knew that I tried it and I'm going home. And wow, this is tough. And basically, when you stop paddling in surfing, there's a lot of current in the sea. And the current started taking me up north and inwards towards the ocean. And I was just basically happy with myself. And wow, I'm reliving the moment now, I'm sorry. Okay, so long story short, I hear whistles from the beach and the crowd is in the beach, and normally when they start whistling is that a big set of waves is approaching. It's in order to get the surfers to know that a set of wave is coming. And when you're on the beach, you can see the horizon much better than when you're in the water. And I had a bit of luck because I stopped paddling and the current took me to the right spot at the right time. It basically took me where the waves were breaking, and surfing is all about positioning. While the other surfer continued to paddle to stay in the breaking zone, I was basically taking with the stream out of position, but it happened to be that the waves were approaching exactly that position. And I started paddling, and it was a big wave, and everybody was like, go, go. And I was paddling, I was looking down at it, and I was in the zone. I got the wave, I made the drop, I didn't fall. This was 16 years of extremely hard work and experience to make sure I perform in that wave to get a 10-point score and win the competition. So the hardest thing was to call my mom and tell her that I'm not coming home. I have another year. Yes, but it taught me that hard work puts you where good luck can find you. And this is the biggest lesson I've learned. We need to be lucky in life, but we need to make luck happen for ourselves. So I really want to wish you the best of luck in your journey with these companies. I hope one day you will have a surfing story like this to share with our alumni. I hope one day you will be mentors in our program and investors in our program. That would be awesome. And good luck to all of you. Thank you very much. Maria?
Yes, amazing. Always amazing story. And yeah, I think it's like Ram said. I mean, we all have our own experiences, and when you really believe in something, sometimes you need to trust that feeling and thinking, just go for it. And that is what we are trying to prepare you for. So giving you a little bit like some tools that will help you to to focus the idea or think about certain aspects that you maybe didn't think about. So one of these paths is the business canvas that we are going to have a look at. So it's nothing new. It's maybe something that you already did, but I thought that would be a good like a basic start to start from. Yeah. So, but before, while I'm putting the pitch on the screen, I thought it would be good also from us to follow the progress that you're making. So when did you start with? You did it actually already. You practiced it because you sent these short videos where you told a little bit about your startup. So this would be the opportunity, and also to bring everybody on board. So what is it that we all are doing? So that each founder would shortly present what is it that your startup is doing. Like what is the problem that you're solving? So just like 1 minute each person.
And this is also a good point where you're gonna now pitch, and we can compare always this pitch. This is your first pitch to later on how you're doing. So that's the idea behind it, and it's worked fantastically in the previous program. So do we start with Hanna? Hanna, are you with us?
Yes. Yes. So I'm working on Pillar. Pillar is a marketing agency for circular economy partners. So we want to start from the waste side of things and from the consumer side of things, and figure out how we can connect consumers, suppliers, and B2B companies in between. Because traditionally, if you look at sales team, each company basically focuses on selling their own individual brand. So it's very difficult when you get into partnership to start sharing and actually also sell your partner's brand. And sales teams are not equipped with this. I have to be very honest, I'm very in the start of the ideation phase here, and currently I'm looking for people discussing this idea, getting people that have knowledge about this and try to develop this together. But I'm pretty sure that if I, as a consumer, when I buy shampoo or toilet paper, I can be sure that I do the worthy choice, then we have solved something. But I also realize there is a very, very complicated with the certifications and everything. So
I'm also very broad, so I really need help to focus, because in this topic, circular economy, it can be everything. So what is the best first step? So
Great.
This is where I am at the moment.
I think that it's a good way to start. It's always easier to start from abroad and then narrow it down than being so narrow that, you know. So I think this is it's an exciting place to start from.
Should I go next?
Yes. So,
Right.
Karla?
Yeah, so the problem that I observed in real life is that when you want to migrate data, you have to test the software systems, the databases, and then you need to produce data that is hopefully not contains any personal identifiable information. So it needs to be GDPR compliant. And a lot of companies struggle with that, to comply, but at the same time test their systems so they know that in production nothing breaks. And then another thing that I observed also through other companies struggling with it, that training data for AI models often have a bias that you only find once those AI models are out in production and are discriminating against other people. And for both of these problems, synthetic data would help the cure. So, or would be the cure, would help the cause, because you could make sure mathematically that there is no bias in there. And you could also produce huge sets, which you can then bombard these IT systems with and test before they crash in production. So that's the kind of problem I come with. Now I need to confirm it really exists in more than one company, and people would actually buy that. And I'm currently doing user research and educating myself on AI as well at the same time.
Excellent. So, Miia?
Yeah, so you mentioned passion and big dreams in the beginning, and our idea is a combination of both. So the whole idea started with a personal interest, which in our case is culture and music content. So nowadays, when I have a family, I don't get to go out too often, but when I do, I want to have the phenomenal night, and I'm really into electronic music. And I would like to see all my favorite DJs here in Helsinki, but oftentimes it is the case that there is some curator who is deciding the content that I'm seeing. And time after time, we started thinking that wouldn't it be fabulous if I would be the curator of the events that I get to experience. So we were looking for more inspiring event content, and created this platform that is basically a crowdsourcing platform for event generation. And we're solving the problem from a very personal perspective, that we give the power for the people to be the curators of the content that they want to see, whether it's music or if it's a public speaker or even social media influencers. But then also the event industry is struggling, and it's looking for new innovations and solutions to be able to help the business. So we're solving the problem that the venues are struggling with, because if they're booking an artist, there's always a risk factor that what if people don't show up. So we're actually crowdfunding the events before they happen. So the venues are minimizing the risk with the help of our platform. And then also because our purpose of the whole idea is to enriching the culture, we want to make sure that the acts actually get paid a fair amount for their performance. So that's the long story short.
Sounds amazing. I think that's certainly needed, and on during these COVID times, we need to find alternative solutions, since the existing ones are not really working. So Anu, your turn.
Thanks. I guess everybody would agree a bit on this statement. Insurances are difficult. They are very often, the language used with insurances is too difficult, complicated. People don't really understand what they're buying. And when the incident happens, the insurance incident, and they claim, they get disappointed because they don't know what they bought in the first place. On the other hand, insurance companies they are really huge today, and a number of them, I used to work for them, so I know how the internal kind of decision making happens. It's really difficult to actually enforce new policies, new ideas, because the decision making and the risk adversity is very strong there. What we're looking for is to create a very flexible, legally designed, understandable, comparable insurance product that the person can actually tailor to themselves, to their own needs, to their situation, and actually to compare that easily to others. The whole idea is to also reach the insurance customer in different places than they are reached usually today, because especially the payment protection insurances, they are only sold today when the person takes a loan. So we want to find out those people earlier or after, and they have already taken the loan and the related insurance, and find those persons to offer them a better insurance with a better price, with easier language, with more happy clients. Currently, the opportunities of AI, gamification, digitalization, everything, they are buzzwords in insurance business, but they are not really taken into where they could be. And now, having had the opportunity to kind of learn a bit more agile way of working in the startup life for the past 2 years, I would love to take these learnings also to the insurance world.
Cool. I think more happy clients, it's certainly needed. And anyone who has an insurance and ever made a claim without exception, normally they try to make it complicated. So yeah, that's certainly needed. I think in the interest of time, we will not have a break because we have another hour. And I think I would like to use it to start the
okay with them?
Yeah, so would it be fine for you? Nobody has an urgent need for biological break. We don't want anyone, feeling unhappy sitting there. Excellent. So, the whole purpose with the workshop would be that it's like an interactive. So feel free to, ask any questions, interrupt, ask clarification, or we'll give your own point of view, so it's also more fun for you guys. And I think the viewers will also stay awake and without listening to my monotone voice explaining stuff. Yeah.
So what Maria wants to say with that is you will become better entrepreneurs when you also help mentor the other person. So once we can review the business canvases, for example, next week, also ask clarifying questions. If you don't understand, Anu doesn't understand what Karla's doing in a specific thing, please ask that, and vice versa. It's not that one person is presenting their business canvas to the investor and it's just one thing, and then the other 3 ladies are just sitting there waiting for their turn. So let's make it all interactive. You will learn from it. It's been proven.
Yeah, I think it's always like the best way actually to learn is to have a diverse team, people who probably don't know anything what the other one is doing, because they always ask the best questions, the real questions. Because when you know what the other one is person, you fill in the gaps because you know it already. So whether you're telling the whole thing or not. So I think this is an amazingly excellent, opportunity, because I think you come from diverse backgrounds, so that you are able to then, and they need to be able to share my screen. So yeah, I think that's the best way of learning. So asking, seeing stuff that you have maybe no idea of, and then you can ask that, like, what on earth this is, what does it mean? So okay, so let's see, can you see my screen? Let me see, I will put it to presentation mode if I can find it myself. Oops, I check there. Okay, see the screen? Okay, wonderful. So like I said, I'm sure this is not something totally new that you never heard about, but sometimes, it's good to start from the basics. And I think, like I said, we're doing it also to educate each other and to educate ourselves, because sometimes we miss the small things when we are, when we have been thinking about something a long time. So it's easy to get, looking at the big picture and forgetting all the little details that you need to, to get actually things done. So in principle, when we think about, I think we all have different kind of ideas of what is a business model. A business model is you could say, it depends on who you ask, of course. So I would say I just think it's a plan to how to make money, because in the end, if you can't generate cash, your company is going to die. But you can also have different kind of explanations about it. That it's like it's a plan. You're making a plan how you can successfully operate a business, and you can identify sources of revenues. You can identify who is going to buy it, who is your client, and how and details of how you're going to finance this all. And of course, there's some big names that have said things like, I think the main thing, as I said, since you want to make money, you need to know who the client is. So like Peter Drucker saying, who is the client? Who is the customer? And what does the customer value? What does he want? Because if you don't bring value, nobody's going to pay for it. And this is, I think, sometimes we are so excited about our own ideas that we forget to ask the others that actually, do you find it also exciting? And actually, yes, but then how much are you willing to pay for it? Because this is also the thing, people get excited of many things and they give many kind of, sometimes they're just trying to be polite. That's why it's also great to ask people who don't know you. So they don't owe you anything. So they can give you, like a very real feedback. And in a way, what you're trying to do when you're building your pitch deck and when you're trying to tell your story to the investors. So what you're doing is telling a story, hopefully a compelling story. And the numbers matter because they need to, verify the reality that you're telling. So that's why you need to understand, where do your numbers come from? And when somebody's asking you, about the revenue models or about your cost structure, you will need to have those numbers. So of course, during this live pitching, we are not going to go exactly into details about, your cost of production or this kind of things, because those things we leave it, the discussion between one-on-one with investors. But we can still give a broad idea, and explain how are we going to do these things. So there's, of course, a difference between a business model and a strategy, because strategy is something, it's different. It's not the same thing. And strategy is something, when you think about it, you look at the bigger picture and you think about what is it that I can do better than my competition? Because if you do not have competition, then either you are way ahead of your time, like what happened to Anu, and that's not a nice place to be, because you need to wait for 3 years or 2 years until somebody does want to buy your product, and you're probably going to be broke before that. But it's also that if you don't have a competition, maybe you didn't look deep enough. So it's always interesting and important to think, how are people doing or solving this problem that I'm trying to solve today? So maybe actually there is no solution, like Karla is doing synthetic data. So there is actually not a good synthetic data available. Some certain cases you do have it, but this is really the risk of today's world, when we need to be GDPR compliant, and we need to understand all these kind of issues, whatever legal issues there are in the world. And maybe like what Miia is doing, there isn't actually a good way of doing this kind of event organized created by the crowd. So then it's a wonderful place to be, because once you get the confirmation that, okay, there is in a way competition, it's not exactly doing what I'm doing, but there is a certain kind of solution for the problem today. But actually what I'm doing it differently, I'm doing it better, and some people are actually willing to pay for it. And so it's defining and finding that competitive advantage, like anyone who ever studied economy and marketing knows Mr. Porter, and he talks about his 4 Ps or 5 Ps or whatever he's talking about. But it's really the defining and finding that competitive advantage that you have, and looking at what is the scope of your market. And so.
Yeah. About the competitive advantage part, you will see in the link canvas, there's one part where we talk about the unfair advantages, and that's a part where every startup should have, in a way, because we live in a digital world, and yes, if you do come up with a product, even if you're the first, the fastest, if someone comes out with a similar product with a better network or some kind of unfair advantage, this would be something they can overtake you in.
So, but these things we can discuss then in more detail when we look at actually the cameras. But so Of course, the problem is that these kind of business plans, they normally work wonderfully when you are in a very stable, traditional industry where every year is the same as the other one. Then you can wonderfully, go and plan your, businesses, and next year we're going to grow 5% and 10%, whatever. But of course, the problem is that in startup world, it doesn't work this way. But still, you need to make a plan because the investor is going to ask for that plan, or the bank if you're asking for a loan. So you need to be able to estimate. You give your best estimation, about your 3-year plan. How much cash flow you're going to generate, what kind of profit you're going to make. So it is a bit a theoretical exercise, but it's sometimes also good to understand how would the world look like, what kind of cost structures, costs do you have, and how much money would you actually need to run your business for the next 3 years. So it's a good exercise, important thing to understand about your, the business that you're in, and where do you want to develop, where do you want to go. And as we all know, so the secret of getting ahead is to get started. And I think you are all in a good place because you decided to get started. And that's, the only way is to do this way. You start and you see where you're going. So far, anything you want to ask or add or comment? Great. So I think now we come to the wonderful next part. So the reality, of course, is that 90% of all the startups that ever start actually fail. But it's not that it's for anyone who did it knows it's not, you didn't lose, you learn something new. And I think this is the mindset sometimes that it's very difficult, and why people maybe sometimes leave the corporate world is that they realize that they were, they think that failing is not natural part, it's natural to take risks, and then, then sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed. But the reason why startups fail many times is that it's very difficult to plan ahead. So this kind of traditional way of making a good business plan and strategy and market research, it just doesn't work because the business is moving so fast, and there's a lot of unknown factors. So you don't know what, there might be another startup doing the same thing that you are doing at the same time, and somehow they maybe got some kind of extra advantage and they got there before you did, or you got there before they did. So there's a lot of unknown facts, and there's a lot of uncertainty, especially because when you come in with something new, you don't really even know who the customer is. You might have an idea, you might do, relate to certain kind of ecosystems or groups, and that's a good thing because it's always better the more certain facts you can find, because then of course it's easier for you to plan. And of course, although you can't plan everything, and everything is an estimation, it is not a justification just to let's go and figure it out along the way, because this certainly will lead to failure, because nobody can normally afford that. You need to have some kind of plan and understanding where is that you're going. So, but I don't think we have an issue with you guys. I think you are more systematic than that. So yeah, Mike Tyson, he was maybe not the smartest guy in the planet, but he certainly got it right when he said that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And this is what happens to us many times. I mean, I certainly can relate to that. You have a perfect plan, you do something, and then something, unexpected happens that you had no idea for. But the thing is, then you just move on. You get up and, either you find another opponent who is more in your league, or you just find a new technique and, you punch even the Mike Tyson out on the ring. So what is then this lean startup or these business canvases? What did it come about? I think he's probably one of the most famous people in the startup world. I would say Eric Ries. When he came up with this lean startup idea, I think many people thought, oh, this is so simple. Why didn't somebody else come up with it before? And maybe somebody did, but at least what he did, he conceptualized it. So many of the ideas, even that you guys have, maybe 1,000 people thought about it, but they didn't execute it on it. They didn't start, doing it, and that's why they never got anywhere. So entrepreneurship can be anything. It can be, it can be a one-man show, it can be one lady show, it can be one-woman show, it can be, huge corporate, it can be not-for-profit, it can be anything. It can be any kind of business. So it's not about that you are needed to be fit in the certain kind of box. But the fact about entrepreneurship is that you do need to manage it, because otherwise it's like insanity, I would say. If you just go about and try this and then next day you do that, and there is like no coherence in what you do. And very important fact is, of course, that if you try something and it fails or it succeeds, that you learn from it, that you can somehow understand, okay, I did this experiment, it went well or it went bad, and then you can build on it and build actually a sustainable business based on that. So the whole point with the lean startup is, of course, that you build this kind of loop, that you build something, you measure does it work, and you learn from it, whether it worked or not. So that is actually what is probably the core of the whole thing, what made it, so, for people easy to understand, and this aha, that this is actually how I need to do it. Because especially for someone with an engineering brain like mine, you would try to perfect things. You want to have the perfect product before you present it to anyone. But of course, this is the very wrong way to do it. You don't know what the others want. So that's why the idea of doing this, building something that is good enough, something that you can test the features. You see if anyone even comes on my website, if anyone really is even interested in finding any kind of value in what I'm doing. So try to do the least bits that you can do. Just even like a landing page. Would somebody be interested in having this kind of insurance product? Would somebody be interested in buying if there would be this kind of statistical data? Would somebody be interested of funding such a project or finding their favorite DJ? So then okay, if people click on it and say, yeah, I find it interesting. So then okay, there is something, and then you need to start building. And sometimes what happens in startups also is that you realize that actually, there are many famous things like Instagram, that they started with some kind of sharing app. And then they realized that what people wanted to use actually there was just how they can filter their pictures, that they look great. And that's all they do. And now they're worth billions. So sometimes it's easy, not always, but I think it's to find the core and essence of a product. It can be something very simple, but that you only find out by testing. And then, of course, the last point is that you always have to have some kind of goals. Whatever the goal is, you need to make yourself KPIs. And put yourself milestones, what I'm going to do first, and then I'm going to do, and preferably make those milestones small enough. Not like, in 6 months, I'm going to do this. Like specify short, like if you are running some kind of like a coding thing or whatever you're doing, you can even have a 2-week, milestones, or 1 month or 1 week, even for the day. So you understand that and you feel good when you reach something, because we need these kind of feelings of succeeding also. Otherwise, life gets very, very frustrating. And of course, the very important part is to prioritize, because as a startup, the thing that you don't have enough, of course, everybody thinks first of it's money. Yes, money is one issue, but the biggest thing that we lack of is time. There are only 24 hours a day, and we need to sleep. Yes, you do actually have to need to sleep, and it's one of the most important things to keep yourself sane, is to have enough sleep. So you don't need to sleep 10 hours a day, but you do need to sleep 7 to 8 hours. And so then you need to prioritize what am I doing with my time. And that helps when you create yourself milestones and KPIs and look at what am I doing well. So to go into a little bit more details about what is the lean startup. So as we said, it's about this building something, you're measuring it, and then you're learning from it. So like now, some of you guys are at the idea stage. So once you are crystallizing your idea even better, you can start building it. Whether it's coding, making websites, whatever you're doing. But this is like the doing stuff, and then you measure it. You do any kind of marketing test or interviews or real-time testing of your product, and then you get the data. It works, it doesn't work, and then you learn from it. And then again, you are a bit further ahead on your curve of executing the idea. So this is the principal idea of the lean startup. I'm sure you guys have used it. And anyway, the size, of course, I will share them with you. So I think this is the most important part of getting anything to real production, is that you actually have to listen to the customers. And this can be sometimes very difficult. I have met many startups who they think they can run the company behind the screen, coding. And this is how they're gonna, produce the most amazing product for actually humans to use, without the human interaction, without actually picking up the phone and asking someone, do you actually like my product? Would you actually want to buy it? Would you actually want to pay something for it? So I think this is the thing. You need to get up from your butts, like they say, go out from the building and ask, talk to people, talk to your colleagues, talk to your friends, whoever, strangers, and ask what do you think about such an idea? Because please remember that your friends and family, yes, they can be, of course, very negative. They don't want you absolutely not to do this, but they can also be a bit optimistic. They don't want to hurt your feelings, so they will tell you nice stuff. So then don't ask them, but you can also ask other people. Really get the real feedback. And if it doesn't work, then you pivot, as we have here. So first you have the customer discovery phase. You search, you get the validation, you ask for people, and you do this kind of the minimum work until you can. Of course, don't go and show something that is totally broken, because then you're going to, already you're going to get just negative feedback. So make it good enough, but just put very few features, and then you get the customer validation. If it looks good, then you go further on the customer creation and actually make the product good enough to sell. And then you can execute and scale your business. That's a wonderful thing. But if it doesn't work, there probably is something, you stick on the point 2, and you get the customer validation. Maybe something, maybe not everything you did was good, but they maybe liked a feature that you even didn't think about. And then you can go back to the customer discovery. And so this is the most important part of being a startup, accepting that failure is part of the process, and pivot and try again and learn something from what you did before. And I think this is the biggest difference between corporate life and being a startup. That in corporate life, normally you are not expected or allowed to fail, because if you fail, nobody's going to thank you. But here you have the great opportunity of actually trying new things and learning from that. So the whole idea about, of course, all these things is that you experiment, and you don't do too much planning. You have some kind of plan, but you are based your experimentation on this kind of customer feedback and what kind of feeling you have over that feedback that you get. So many people do it is that they what we call it is like you have a hypothesis. You have some kind of hypothesis about how this thing is going to work, how people are going to react to it, how people what they are willing to pay for my product, or all these kind of things. And then you go and you test it out. And of course, the whole idea is that we try to waste time of producing a perfect product that nobody wants to buy. I mean, I as an engineer, I can tell you, we Finns especially tend to over-engineer everything. Does somebody really want to have 99% accuracy of anything? No. Sometimes it's enough to have 90 or even less. And ask the clients what is that they want. Do you want to because otherwise you don't know. You are making your assumptions that are not validated. So it's very important to remember this part. And well, here they of course they say that you should not have a stealth mode businesses, but sometimes clearly you can have a stealth mode to the outside world, but you're still doing many things in the background, and you are getting your customer feedback of a certain kind of network. But you can't produce or create anything in a vacuum or in a bubble. So that's always the fact. So far, no questions? No. You can also comment if you have some good experiences of doing these things. So I think many times, like we say, some of us are here, you are here. You have the big vision assumption. You're gonna take the world over with your wonderful synthetic data, or the platform you're building, or the new product for the insurance, or the sustainability solution that you're giving to people. And I think all of you have done some work already. You know that this is something that people want. At least if you want it, it's already a good start, and your friends want it, and you read about it, that this kind of products are wanted. Then it's you have made some kind of assumptions. But what is it really that people want? This is like the questions that we should ask and make, question our own assumptions. That is it really this way, or am I just, making assumptions because it fits what I want to have, what I want to hear? And of course, then, we get out, we ask people. I mean, you are part of the program. You are, you're exposing your idea and asking others for feedback. And that's why it's also for us very important that we try to, give of course, constructive feedback about the ideas and presentations and assumptions that we are making, because that is what we're doing with the business plan. We are, and the business canvas, we're making assumptions because most of the things that we are assuming we don't know. We have probably some data that we're backing and basing your assumptions about, but we don't know them. But at some point, we need to get to this point that we need to know our business. So we need to know what are we basing the assumptions on, that we're making, so that we don't get into the feeling that the other party feels like you don't know what you're talking about. So how can I trust you? Because trust is built on this kind of openness, being matter of fact, being knowing where the data comes from, and also sometimes admitting I don't know. This is something I will find out along the way. So when I think about the whole idea, like I said in the beginning, so why are we doing this exercise? Why do we need to build the canvas? Is that we are helping ourselves to visually understand what is it that I want to build, and to look at my own specific business case. And we are making some assumption, and with this board we are questioning them, and we are validating also them. And we are looking at it, is there actually some kind of fit? Because, sometimes we say that the most important part for success of a company, even if not the success of the company, but at least from an investor point of view, they want to see a product market fit. They want to know that it's the right time, it's the right product, and there is a market who's ready to start buying it. So that is like, let's say, the roadmap to success. Once you've done all this, then what starts is the execution and doing the right things with the right people. Like we said, many of you are also looking, people to share your knowledge and to do it together. So the Japanese, they were the inspiration for Eric Ries, to write his book and to start with this system. Is that he was always asking, or the Japanese Toyota production system, they always had these 5 whys. And when you think about it, actually, you can actually test it with any kind of problem you have in life. Because sometimes, some people say, why doesn't it work? Yeah, so you go deep into the problem. Like in this kind of, they had a release that broke in sort of key feature. And they asked, why did this server fail? And you can find the reason that it was installed in the wrong way. So why was it used in the wrong way? Because the engineer didn't know how to use it. So why didn't the engineer know? Because he was never trained. And so why wasn't he trained? Well, we were all too busy. So sometimes actually the problem starts with this. I think this is like the key part, being too busy to do the basic stuff. And this is also, I would say, what is the business planning part. It's not to be too busy. To have the basic, like, is there even a base for doing this business? Because sometimes, maybe you realize that the cost of running a business, let's say, is 10K, and you realize the income you're going to get is 5K. So does it make any sense to to do the business? Obviously not. This is a very much caricaturized, but that's why we build the business plan, so we understand what are the costs involved and what is the income that we can get. Maybe the 5K is just the first 2 months, and then once we ramp up the business, we can make a lot of money. But this is something we need to understand, and we will find out when we do our business. So that's how it's going to look like. Can I get a nod if anyone has seen this door, or thumb up? Yeah, I assume that. So this is really the basic thing what we're going to do. So we're going to use actually a Miro board, so which Ram will share to you after the presentation, and we will have a look at it. So we will get the same board, and there you can use it, using post-its. You can fit in the ideas. If you don't know how it works, if you don't know how Miro works, you will let us know, and we can do it on a separate session and look at it. So the basic things what we are doing with the lean canvas, the main things that we should concentrate on is, of course, looking at the problem. There has to be a problem, a real problem. Hopefully it's an urgent problem, a big problem, something that should have been solved yesterday. And then we are going to look at the existing alternatives, because this part helps us to understand what is the competition. It might not be that there is anyone doing exactly what we're doing, but there are always existing alternatives. People are somehow trying to solve this the problem today. And then we will list our solution. What are we going to do? We're going to look at the key metrics. How is it that what are we measuring that we know that we are going to be successful? The KPIs, our KPIs, key performance indicators. And then we should have something unique about what we are creating that is different from anybody else. And then, of course, this high-level concept is like, how would you explain it to the 5-year-old or 6-year-old or your grandmother or father? At least I would have had difficulties explaining to my dad what I'm doing. He still thinks that I'm a doctor. When I was studying, I wanted to do a PhD, and he was, oh, wonderful that you're going to be a doctor, so like a medical doctor. So I decided that it was maybe it's my capabilities of explaining what I'm doing. But so I think it's very important to have this kind of ability to explain it with preferably also in one sentence, what is it that I'm actually trying to do? And that sentence can sometimes take longer time than many of the other boxes to fill in. But it's a good exercise, and test it to people around you if they understand what is it that you're doing. And like Ram mentioned in the beginning, so unfair advantage is something also very important to think about, and try to think, what is it? Is there something, what I have learned, done in my life, or someone in my team that actually the others don't have? Maybe we were 10, 15 years in industry, that we gained such a knowledge that that we can't just pick it up like that. Or maybe I don't know, I'm in a certain kind of industry, and I know every decision maker who is going to get me through the gates to get my product implemented. Absolutely an unfair advantage. Of course, if I happen to have 5 million on my bank account, that might be also unfair advantage. But let's stick to this kind of facts that would help us with the business environment. And also then the channels. How am I going to sell my product? What are my the channels that I'm going to use? Is it my network? Is it promotion on internet? Going to, well, they're not the only virtual events nowadays, but is it like this kind of product placement, or how is it that I'm going to ensure that I can get my product sold? And then thinking about the customer segments, and what kind of, who would use my product, and that is very important, because actually these early adopters is based on your customer segment. So who on that customer segment would be the early adopter? Who would be the first one to go to get the the input, the information, and that I can then scale my business and grow it big. And of course, the bottom part here is like if you think about the business plan, this is what you need for yourself to understand. Is it worth my while actually to do this thing? So you should think about my cost structure. What is that I need? Is it servers? Is it coders? Is it what is that you need to get started? Or do you need to hire people? Or and of course, many times the important thing is to try to think, what is the minimum I need? Because most of the stuff you can probably do yourself, or with your friends, or there are ways of minimizing cost, but also then you can't you probably need something, and to find that out, and and thinking about, what if I had that much money, could I speed up my go-to-market plan? And thinking about these kind of things, it's very helpful also when you think about how much money would I actually need to raise from the investors, to get where I want to go. And it's always good to think about, like, what is my run rate for at least minimum 1 year, and maybe thinking about in your head, not necessary for this exercise, but thinking in your head some different kind of scenarios. So if everything would go perfectly, this one. If everything would go, normal, this way. And if things hit the, fan, then what would that be? And thinking about, of course, how will I generate cash? Many times, or many businesses is in the beginning, of course, when you're a startup, especially if you are 1 or 2 people, is that you do some consulting work. And it's perfectly fine to do it in the beginning. But the important thing is there also to think, is it what I'm doing, for the longer run, the thing that I should be doing? Like, maybe you're doing consulting with the clients that can later buy your product. Or, or are you doing something totally different? Sometimes you need to just survive. But always thinking, like I said in the middle, the scarcest resource we have is time, because there are other people there probably doing the same what we are doing. So execution is vital, to really get that product out there as soon as possible. So I think I have one more slide. Or was this my absolute favorite? Well, not real figure, but let's say people always ask, who is your guru? And I never liked even the word, because I think, you know, we should always, of course, have people and something that we believe in and something that we think is going to be our guiding light. But I think this is in essence what I believe in. You should just do it. You know, you don't know if you didn't do it. So don't try to just do it full force, and then, you know, you'll find out if it works or not. And the last slide is about you know, the other angle, and what you actually, why are you preparing, you know, your business plan, and why are you thinking about your business? Is I can give the idea from my own point of view, you know, as a business angel. So of course, in all, when you think, normally the first investments that you're going to get is going to come from business angels. Like, there are individuals who are nuts enough, you know, that they are willing to, you know, make bets on people and you know, and seeing, you know, if they work or not. So business angels, they tolerate high risk. They understand that, you know, at least half of the stuff, investments that they make fail. Trust me, been there. And 10% are actually the ones that are profitable and cover the losses of the others. So yes, they expect, you know, returns, and that's why many times when a business angel invests, they expect that you need to have such a scalable product that if they put something in, and when your company is worth 1 million, they think it should be worth 20 million in 3 to 5 years, or let's say 7 years. But they really believe that there has to be such a potential in that investment that at least theoretically your company should be able to reach that kind of valuation. But many times, of course, people are doing it more like also in a philanthropic way. You want to give back. You know, like I've been there, I've done it. You know, from experiences point of view also. So you want to help others not to maybe make the same mistakes that you did. And there are different kind of investors. There are the investors who are very active, who want to have a board seat, who want to have, you know, to take sweat equity because they're willing to work for your company. But there are also those who just say, oh, you know, here's my money. You know, I like to look how it's going, but I'm not going to be, you know, actively involved. And that's why it's also important to sometimes think, you know, that you are not normally only looking for money. You're looking also for smart money. So people who are actually willing to help you, because you are in the beginning, small teams, you need a lot of help. And of course, business angels, they normally invest in small companies. The VCs, you know, come later normally. They come, you know, once you are making that magical number of 20,000 euros, you know, monthly recurring revenue. That's normally for them what they're looking for. And then they are willing to invest and they put the tickets of maybe 1 or 2 million. So the valuation needs to be higher than that. But the business angel average investments, I would say, are 20 to 100K. Sometimes the Finnish, especially business angels, put even smaller tickets. So then you should always think, you probably, you know, are good to go for a syndication, but maybe sometimes, you know, someone even with the 10K, if they bring value to your company, it's worth considering. But what is an important and good fact is that those companies who do actually take business angels, they have normally a higher likelihood of surviving. And of course, the reasons can be many, but I think some of them are quite obvious. If somebody actually believed in your idea, it means that your idea was so good that they're willing to put their money into it. So let's say clearly, at least you have the conviction of certain people that you can do it. So that gives you a good, you know, benchmark that it's worth doing what you're doing. And it's of course their mentoring and their access to business contacts that you are after. So think carefully, you know, who you are. If you have the luxury, we don't always have the luxury, but when you have the luxury to choose, pick those angels that are actually bringing, you know, added value to your business. So from my own personal point of view, you know, what am I looking for when I do business angel investments? So it's of course all about the people. So it's the founders. They are, you know, sometimes I even myself wondering why I'm still, you know, investing in certain companies, but it's the people that convince me, and I believe it that it's the, you know, a great team can even bring a mediocre product to the goal and make it successful. And for me, I try to look at products that are not only, let's say, German specific or not only Finland specific, but they are like international products that can be used internationally. And clearly it would be great if it would be like unique and innovative ideas. If you have IP and it can protect it, of course, great. I would say nowadays, especially if you're in software, it's very, you know, difficult to protect anything. So there, again, it's about speed. It's how do you execute it, that you have the right people to do it. And Ram also mentioned earlier, yes, from inside, so we love the idea of blue ocean. We would love to, find an untapped market, be there first, not too early, but, when the people are gathering to the beach already, so you're there, not when it's still deserted, that there are no roads to the beach, but like being there early. And then why is it important to have a good pitch, that you practice, that you know what you talk about? It's because then it makes the person like me believe that you know your shit, that you did your homework, you believe in it, you worked on it, and there's everything that anyone wants to ask you. And of course that you have to have realistic valuations. I don't think nowadays we have a problem with this, because certainly I think what happened with Corona is that all the valuations, I think they are on rock bottom. So this, I don't think it's a problem, at least in our part of the world. And showing passion. And I think all you guys, you really, you jumped to it. You said, this is what I want to do. I want to really, and that's how you convinced us, when we were talking to all of you, they were really the ones that we said, these women they believe in what they want to do. They can contribute to each other. They can work, as a team, helping each other. So that's what was the one of the really main criteria for myself. And showing your involvement. And of course that's also, you're taking part, you're wanting to contribute to others also. So that's a very important thing. I think that was what I had. I give it over to Ram.
Thanks, Maria. Just on showing your involvement also, what we like to see as investors is that you yourself are putting something on the line, some skin in the game, and that's something very important. So you put your own money, for example, or you quit your job and you're 100% onto it, because at the end of the day, investors won't just give you money for the fun of it. They want to see the full involvement. Very quickly, for those of you who don't know, can you see my screen? Yeah. So just fundraising is a distraction at the end of the day. But as CEOs, it's probably something you will need to lead throughout the lifetime of your startup. You're probably all starting to get into the valley of death, basically. So you're quite an early stage. This is where Maria was explaining why business angels help at these early stage. And normally then from seed investment, seed capital, you go to Series A, Series B, Series C, and so on.
Maybe for clarification. So the valley of death doesn't mean that you're going to die. It means the time when you're not generating cash. So that's the definition of this valley of death. So there's a time when you are just using money and not generating any.
And this is where everything that Maria spoke about and the business canvas comes extremely handy. You need to have the basics in place. You need to be ready to get the feedback and pivot just to get through this time. And when I say the basics in place, now you have the luxury of time to build the very basic foundation. Believe me, when money starts coming in as investment, many people would think, okay, now I secured my first million, we can relax. No, that first million needs to be used, and every day that passes, your bank account gets lower and lower, and you won't have time to deal with the basics. So it's really scaling the business once the money comes in. So just wanted to show these various stages. Now, through every stage, you will have milestones, both set by the investors, but you should have also mini milestones set by yourself. So investors will say, especially VCs come usually after the valley of death, when you have some clients and revenues. And to get to the next round of investment, you would have to have achieved something in the previous round that they've set in order to be able to go further. Okay, questions? We do not have questions. It's clear. Was it good? Was it informative?
So very good from my point of view, and I think the practicing part is really the secret, because it's hard work. So I guess it's good if you find a way, but I really think practicing and taking the step and start, then you get ahead. I mean, this all makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, normally, so we talked a lot these 2 hours. Maria and I talked a lot, and it's just the first session. We have to give you the introduction, but you will basically be more active in the other sessions, and hopefully Maria and I can sit back, even turn off our screen and scratch our heads or drink a coffee or something. So you're really going to get active, and it's basically starting right now. We're going to switch to Miro. You can stay here. I'll share my screen. Let me see where the Miro is. Here it is. So you all have the link to Miro, and we're not going to live stream. We're going to finish the live stream pretty soon, but we have set here 4 basically canvases. I see some of them have been filled in, and just take each one your own, and you can start zooming in, which is basically how you zoom in normally. And you have some post-its here on the left. You can just drag and drop. You can scale them, and basically it doesn't matter how small they are, you'll always be able to zoom in. And go through the week and start filling these in. And there's no right and wrong, and feel free to look at the others. We also have at the bottom from Wave7. I left them on purpose there so you can look at them. And as you will present them next Wednesday, basically we will start. Nimrod will come in from Tel Aviv. He'll introduce himself, and then we'll take one of you first, and you start presenting your company. This is the problem. These are the existing alternatives at the moment, you know, the solutions, the metrics. And Nimrod, myself, and the other 3 ladies should be not, it's just not a one-way thing. We should stop. Okay, why is this the problem? Is it really a problem? How do you know it's a problem? How will we find out if it is a problem? So these are all the questions we would need to answer.
And I think for next week's session, so we are probably going to focus more on exactly this part: problem and existing alternatives, and solution may be the metrics. But we are the other part. I think we are going to focus on these 4 because that's already, you know, big enough topic to discuss.
Absolutely. And Nimrod, this is why I wanted Nimrod for next week early on, because we don't want to start going too far ahead and then have to have wasted some time and then go back again because maybe the problem was not serious enough. And you see it many times. If you look at applications, B2C applications for the mobile phone, is this really an extra app I would like to download? Yes, it's nice to have, but is it something really necessary? So at the end of the day, the problem is very, very important. And the only way to find out if it's a real problem is to get the feedback from the clients. And but when I mean client, is not talking to 5 potential customers, but trying to talk to 50 or possibly 1,000. That's and I'm serious. There's a famous book. It's currently just in Hebrew. It was written by Dov Moran, who invented your USB stick. He invented that, and he wrote a book called 1,000 Doors. And the big picture is he had to knock on 1,000 doors until he got the first yes. So persistence is quite important, and to get as much feedback. Can I leave you with this? Maria, I need to call Tim, so just wrap it up.
Yeah, so I think we had, like Ram said, a lot of talk from our side. Would be maybe nice to hear from you. So what are you planning to do next week? You have 1 week, next Wednesday we'll go through your canvases. So a couple of sentences, what was your KPI for next week?
If I may start.
Yes.
I already started a bit the canvas, and my goal is to get it done more or less, and to get it a bit deeper, kind of with comments as it is currently.
Miia?
In addition to the canvas, I'm actually at the moment working on creating the network for our company. So we're already meeting the venues. So basically this is the marketing strategy, go-to-market strategy that we're like now drafting and implementing at the same time. It's a fast-moving environment, so it's kind of like we're taking the first steps there. So it requires a lot of contacting. So we have created a list of the venues that we start collaborating with. So that's the biggest.
Excellent, wonderful. And Hanna?
Yes, so now that I know that I'm going into the circular economy direction, I already started on the business canvas, but I'm already more focused. I'm talking to a lot of people. Today I actually met with somebody for the first time who is also passionate about circular economy. So I'm going to focus the business canvas, and I know that I want to come now from the consumer waste side, so I will work on it. So I have a plan at least for a week now.
And Karla?
Yeah, my plan is to really validate the problem. So I have several problem sets and look which one is the most meaningful, talk to companies to see, did I just meet the problem myself, or is there more people having that problem?
Excellent. And so actually when we will have a workshop with deep work regarding your businesses, I think for those workshops, it's good if you invite either your team members or people that you're working together with, and Ram will let you know the dates when those workshops are, so you can have a more broad input and please feel free also to share if you want your Miro board to other people, so from your team, so they can fill in your board.
And also, you can invite your network, your people, to join the live streams so they can keep up to date on your progress. Also, these videos will stay on YouTube, which they're quite helpful once you want to share it with maybe potential investors. We're all active on our Slack channel. You've all been invited. I've seen you there. So anything you need, just post it on the Slack channel. I get it immediately. Also have your notifications on for Slack. Our alumni entrepreneurs are also there. Sometimes they can contribute. I suggest you each set up a channel for your company and invite the people you want. So I think Hanna has already a channel. Make sure, Hanna, to invite me and Maria to that channel as well. Make the channels open, because sometimes also, like I said, mentors or previous alumni will join to see how you're doing. So we're happy to answer any questions always. Just send them via Slack. Except on Saturdays, we work 6 days a week. Saturday we are off. No electronics, no mobile phones. It's good to give the brain a bit of a rest once a week. But without further ado, that was a great first day, a great launch. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure. to see all of you here. And yeah, let's do great things.